In this video, I'm going to be guiding you on Chapter 22 and 23, the labour market. Factors affecting the demand for labour. The first factor is the demand for the final product. This is because it is derived demand, so therefore, the demand for workers is derived entirely from the demand for the goods and services provided. So, for example, an increase in the demand for air travel will directly cause an increase for the demand for cabin crew and pilots. Next, we have the availability of substitutes, meaning a substitute for labor. So, the demand for labor is affected by the cost and the availability of machine substitutes such as robots and machines, which in 2026 getting significantly cheaper as AI is taking over by storm. The productivity of the workforce is clearly a factor because if the workers are able to produce more output, they become more profitable for the firm, which leads to the more productive the employee, the demand for their labor increases. Factors that affect the supply of labor. Firstly, population size. If the population was to increase, there will be physically more people available to enter the workforce, and the overall supply of labor will naturally tend to increase over time. Another factor is migration, as some countries actively welcome immigrants to help increase the overall size of their working population. For example, Japan has leaned on foreign workers for a while now, and this has led over 2 million people in recent years to supplement its shrinking labor supply. The age of population is a factor that affects supply, as very old people are often retired and do not need to work. And if there are fewer babies being born year on year, there will be fewer young people who are joining the workforce compared to the number of retirees. The result of this is that the shift increases the dependency ratio and a heavier financial burden on the remaining active workers in the population. The next factor is the retirement age. If the government was to increase the retirement age, this essentially forces people to work a few more years before they are entitled to receive their state pension. As they are active for a few additional years, this increases the supply of labor. Another factor is the school leaving age, as the school leaving age dictates the exact age which children are legally allowed to enter the workforce. So lowering the school leaving age will allow teenagers to enter the workforce earlier. Social changes globally has allowed women to participate in the workforce. This dramatic shift in the societal role of women has massively increased the size of the working population over the past 50 years. Another factor is skills and qualifications, because people possess good skills and are highly qualified. Therefore, they become much more employable to businesses. As the population becomes more educated and skilled, the overall supply of active labor in the market tends to increase. And lastly, mobility. Being mobile is very important and will drastically increase the supply of labor, as this mobility allows workers to easily and quickly move from one region to another to find employment. And occupational mobility will allow workers to easily switch between different types of jobs. This usually goes hand in hand with skills and qualifications. Moving on to the importance of quantity and quality of labor. It is important for businesses to know that there is sufficient quantity of labor in the surrounding area. This will 1. Minimize their costs, and 2. They need to know that they have sufficient quantity of workers available if the business needs to expand its operations in the future. Next, the importance of quality labor. The workforce needs the required literacy, communication, and specialist skills, as this will help maintain strict production and quality standards for the businesses. Moving on to the impact of education and training. This will enhance human capital, as having a more educated and trained workforce will provide workers with the specific knowledge and new skills required to do their jobs effectively and safely. And with the use of cross-training, which is when you train people with multiple skills, workers have the ability to do different jobs, which firms can create multi-skilled human capital. And the impact of this is that a well-educated and highly trained labor supply is vastly more productive and valuable for any business and economy. As operations will be significantly smoother, there will be less mistakes, lower anxiety, and higher quality. Now moving on to the labor market diagrams. This is the demand and supply of labor at its equilibrium. Like any demand curve, it slopes downwards because the higher wages will increase production costs, which leads to firms demanding fewer workers. And the equilibrium wage and employment quantity are determined by exactly where the point of supply equals demand. In the case for demand shifts, in this case, the demand for labor shifts to the right from DL1 to DL2. An example of this can be the demand for lifeguards on the beach. During the summer months, there'll be more demand for lifeguards as there are more people visiting the beach. And due to this increase in demand, this leads to both higher wage rates and larger quantity of workers employed. In the case for shifting supply, the supply of labor can shift from SL1 to SL2 due to immigration, as there are physically more people entering the country. And because businesses have more people to choose from, they now have optionality. So they can offer these people lower wages from W1 to W2. Trade unions. The role of trade unions is to negotiate pay and working conditions. And if you are part of a trade union, their goal is to protect your daily interests as a member of the union. They provide legal protection, and they will actively fight for your rights at work. They provide a wide range of services such as legal assistance, health and safety at work, professional development and training, collective bargaining, and many more. The result of trade unions is that it does indeed improve working conditions. However, it artificially increases the wages, which increases their costs. This will cause the firm's demand for labor to fall, resulting in job losses for some union members. Let me show you. And this is the impact of trade unions. As unions increase the costs of labor from WE to W1, the demand for labor decreases from QE to QD, and at the same time, the supply of labor increases from QE to QS due to more attractive wages, which incentivizes the union members to come out and work again. This results in a surplus of labor, as you can see here, which is unemployment. I hope that helped. I hope you guys have a good day. Bye-bye.